What's going on, guys? Junior's Fishing Company. This is not going to be a tying video per se. I really appreciate all the views and comments and likes and all that stuff. I got an email the other day from a guy asking kind of some tips on getting started on tying. I think specifically more towards the jigs side of things. So I thought instead of sending, a novel, I would just upload hopefully a quick-ish video with some ins and outs and stuff like that of things I've learned over the last few years, especially since I've gotten into tying jigs. And I don't claim to be some guru or anything like that, but I don't mind giving my 2 cents. So yeah, I appreciate it. Drop a comment, send me an email. I love talking to you guys and talking to fishermen, and whether it's on the lake or online, doesn't matter. So I'm just going to quickly go through, like, if I started tying today, what I wish I would have known. I've been tying pretty obsessively for 4 years. I've been tying a little bit for probably 6 or 7. So I'm not quite where I want to be yet, because it's one of those things, the more you know, the less you know, if that makes sense. But I'm just going to start, and I'm for sure going to miss stuff. If I think of anything while I'm editing or after I upload, I can just put it in a comment, or I can always add it to the description too. So the first thing is my vise. This is just a Peak rotary, pretty standard vise with the little Peak bobbin cradle and stuff like that. If I were to start tying, especially jigs, I get a rotary vise. They're going to be more expensive. I'm a teacher, and I don't sleep on a bed of money. This Peak, I think, was like $230. I got it like 3 years ago. I cannot tell you how many flies and jigs I've put in this vise, and I've never had to think twice about if it's going to hold or anything like that. I don't have the C-clamp. What I end up doing is my clamps, and I've been making some plastics. I'll get a clamp, like your standard wood clamp, and I'll just clamp my pedestal to my desk, and that usually is sufficient. For some reason, C-clamps are like always out of stock. But my Peak vise, I love it. The rotary function is more important than you think it's going to be. It helps an untold amount. And with my Peak, I've tied, this is a size 18 Klinkenhammer, I like that name, hook, and I could bend this out, and then I can take that out, and I can take an 8/0, I think this is 8, an 8/0 giant jig hook, and it barely fits, but it fits. I can put that way in the back of my vise. That's what where you want to put your bigger hooks, and I can literally lift my vise. I mean, this isn't going anywhere. I could bend this hook out too. So to be able to kind of have that versatility, this is really the only rotary vise I've ever had, so I can't speak for any of the other vices out there. If money's not an issue, maybe you go with a Talon, or a Saltwater Traveler, or whatever you want. But I can't speak anything bad about my Peak. The next thing I guess I could probably talk about, as I take my vise off, I have a mess, is probably the most common material I use on jigs, and that's deer tail. Deer tail is going to be, and you'll see in just a sec, kind of one of those materials that once you find a good place to order your deer tails from, you're going to want to just keep ordering from them. This blue is a tail that I bought hoping for the best. I'm not going to say, any names. I mean, this is a decent tail. I really like the color, but it's paper thin. I mean, it is about as thin as a tail can get. And then, you've got these beautiful, thick, I mean, this thing's like an inch thick. Nice long fibers. The best place I have found deer tail is Musky Fool. They have pictures of every single color. They grade their bucktail, so if you're buying a $12 tail, an $18 tail, a $25 tail, it's going to be the quality that you pay for. They hand select every single one. I think they might even dye in-house. There's a couple other good ones out there, but if you can see a picture of the colors that you're ordering, the better. There's a big difference between light olive and olive, and actually they get pretty creative with the names, but just be careful where you're going to order your tail from. White, black, I mean, I've probably got 30 different colors. And again, it's an investment. You might get a tail that lasts 2 years. I might go through 4 white tails and 4 blacks in a summer. But this blue will probably last me a year and a half, maybe more. So it gets expensive, but you get what you pay for, and you kind of just chip away at it. You order a couple colors each month, like I do, and deer tail. It's a lot of fun to use. This is next because I've just got it sitting in front of me. I have a pile of stuff. These are, I hope my lighting's okay. These are Keogh half saddles. A full saddle of whiting is going to run you $75. These halves are like $30, $35 on some websites, and they have a ton of cool colors. I use a lot of these thin ones that you can kind of see right here for kind of extensions on a jig, and then there's usually a lot of good schloppany stuff kind of on the back. Some thicker ones I'll use a lot for musky. So get a couple different colors of these. Again, you buy 4 or 5 colors of these, you buy half a dozen deer tails. It gets expensive, but I've really enjoyed using these. And again, I'll buy 1 or 2 of these a year, and these will last me 3-4 years. So after a year or 2, I think I've probably got 8 or 9 different colors of these alone. What do we got next? Schlappen. Love me some Schlappen. Schlappen, again, it's tricky. This is 5 to 7 inch, but man, sometimes you open up a pack and it's like Marabou, where you'll have a ton of good stuff, and every pack's gonna have some short, stubby, something like some short, stubby, ratty old pieces, and that's just the way it goes. But I really like Schlappen, especially I should have brought some example jigs out, watch the videos. But Schlappen is really good too, and it's messy. I'm getting floating feathers all over the place. Probably the most inconsistent material I've had bad and good luck with is ostrich. So ostrich is kind of like the saddle. I use it a lot for tails and things like that. It's really popular with streamers and deceivers and stuff like that. But I literally bought both of these, and I know Scheels isn't like a world-renowned place, but this is probably 8 to 9, maybe a couple 10-inch fibers in there, and then you open up another pack and it's 2. So you kind of have to get lucky sometimes, unless you know a guy, or if you find a place that has good ostrich, order a bunch. Just get as much as you can. It lasts forever. But you want this stuff, not this. So ostrich is a awesome material, super light, swims great. But yeah, you got to be careful. Marabou, if you've watched any of the videos, marabou is probably the easiest to order safely from anywhere. Marabou is pretty much marabou. If you can see the colors online, I would just order from there. Because again, this is olive brown, brown olive, light olive, dark olive, light brown. I mean, you'll see. But these are just the materials that I would order right away. Order 5 or 6 colors of marabou. Marabou's cheap. It's like $4 to $6 a pack. I'll actually open up a marabou pack and I'll take all the good feathers out, I'll strip them, get them ready, throw all of the junk away, and then I'm left with a bag of stuff that I can just take one out and toss it on and wrap it. So marabou and deer hair are probably the two most common materials that I use on any given day. I'm not going to talk a ton about jigs just because if you're going to start tying your own jigs, you probably have a personal preference. You might even pour your own lead or paint your own jigs. I like Northland Deep V jigs. I just like the shape of the head. VMC, I like these because they have a long shank. I prefer a really long shank or a thicker hook. These are super thick hooks. Again, I like Z-Man chatterbaits. 6th Sense makes a great swim jig, but honestly, I mean, you just kind of got to go with whatever your personal preference is going to be on colors and weights and lengths of shank, and that's kind of a whole rabbit hole to go down. Next up with tools, if you don't own any fly tools, I would probably just go to Fly Fish Food, go to their tools section, order the $60 loon kit that's going to have pretty much the material, the tools that you need to get started. What you have to be careful with, if you're just starting out, just with bobbins, right? So if I could only use one bobbin to tie jigs with, it would probably be the Griffin Saltwater. You want something where you're going to hold it here, and you have a really long shaft to kind of get really far back on that hook without, if I have this short one, my fingers are on the other side of that jig. I really don't want that. So yeah, Griffin Saltwater, these are great. They're like $20. Loon, I really like the Loon bobbins. Just they're super easy to hold, but again, they just don't have that super long shaft. But Loon make a good bobbin too. You can spend $120 on a bobbin. I'm not quite there yet. I've thought about kind of breaking into some ceramic ones because I've got like 10 bobbins, but I feel like I'm always changing them out. So, but yeah, in the spring I'll probably buy 2 or 3 more of these, or Wright mag bobbins, but those are like $50. So if you're sitting on money, then just spend $400 on a bunch of those and you'll be good to go. I'd be remiss if I didn't say that this has saved my life. This is a D-loop tweezers from Loon. Between the D-loop and my dubbing twister, dubbing loops with these two tools are perfect. You're good to go. Dubbing loops are super tricky, so if you're just getting started on tying, you can have the stuff, but I'd kind of go a different route first. Scissors, again, you can get a $120 pair of scissors. You can get a $7 pair of scissors. but these Dr. Slick hair scissors work phenomenally for cutting deer tail. I also, if you go a cheaper route, these Rapala serrated braid scissors, I get these for $4.99 at Scheels. I'll buy a dozen of them, and I'll just write the date on them so I know how long I've been cutting them. And these will cut through my synthetics, because you don't want to have a nice pair of, you know, $40, $35 Dr. Slick razors and cut through a bunch of synthetic stuff, because you're going to dull your scissor. So synthetic scissors, hair scissors, and then just trimming scissors. Loon makes a pretty good all-purpose, pretty cheap. They come in that kit if you ordered them. There's no sponsors for this. You know, I've got like 8 followers. Let's see. So scissors, you always want a good pair of pliers and wire cutters for sure. Especially, all of these jigs come with a kind of like a bait keeper. I usually either bend them out, or I'll put right up to them and I'll snip them. If you've watched any of my videos, you know I use a razor blade to kind of cut collars really thin, so a razor blade's going to help. Hackle pliers for sure when you're wrapping marabou around your hook. You know, a decent pair of, this is just an eyelash brush curler. No, I don't use this on my face, but something like this is like $4 from Target. This kind of just cleans out stuff. And a good comb. I've always got 2 combs with me. Just the traditional 99-cent comb, 2 different teeth on them. And then you can see how long I've had this one, because things are broken off. I can't remember what, this is probably hairline. Most things are hairline, I feel like. But this is super fine. You're going to want to have combs with you when you cut out that deer tail. You got to comb out all that under fur and stuff like that. So you're going to absolutely 100% want at least a thin comb like this, if not a thicker one too. Now that I'm thinking about it, I forgot a material, because now I'm thinking combs. Arctic Goat. I have more Arctic Goat than I could probably think of, but I don't see a lot of guys using it online, but it is an awesome material to use. And I also like, what is this called again? Is there one with a name on it? I'll put it in the description. It's kind of like Squimpish. Squimpish hair. Squimpishflies.com, I think it is. This stuff is kind of like synthetic Arctic Goat. It's great too. I know I'm giving you $1,000 cart, but another thing that you can't do without when you're tying jigs is super glue. I use Loctite. You can use whatever you want. You'll want one with a brush, and this is just the thin applicator. I've got some gel too. These aren't the gel kind, but the gel comes in handy if you're putting eyes on and stuff like that. Obviously, I'm just looking at my bench now. A bobbin threader. If you order one of these, you'll get one of those. So, and you know, these last, I think I've had this for like 3 years. You know, you just keep it in a safe spot. You don't let your 2-year-old get a hold of it too often, and these work well. Bodkins. Again, if you order like that $60, there's a $120 one. I was just looking, and it's got even more stuff. But a kit like that is going to be, the person who made that is intentional to make sure that you have the things that you need to start. And then you can kind of just build from there. I really started tying marabou bucktails, and then I thought, well, maybe I'll try a bucktail with deer hair, and then it turned to winter, and I thought, well, maybe I'll start tying some smaller stuff, and then I thought, well, I'm going to start doing more jigs, and you just build up. So you just got to pick one thing that you want to do. If it's going to be deer hair jigs, order $100 in deer hair, or get a bunch of jigs, get a decent vise, couple bobbins, a couple nice pair of scissors, and just get tying. And then the flash, so I've got a ton. This is just one of my 2 holographic Flashabou. These are Loon material rings or something. They're like $9 for 3 of them. But holographic Flashabou. And there's one other that I was thinking of. Lateral scale is great too. I think they're all Hedron, which is just 40 minutes from my house. So you can go to hedron.com and they have everything you're going to need. Holographic Flashabou, lateral scale, and endless others. The thread I would use, if you're just going to do deer hair jigs, get 210 Danville, white, black. You almost don't even need to mess around with too many other colors. If you've got some permanent markers, you can color your thread the color that you want it. But yeah, that is just the jigs section. I'm not going to get into tie-in size 12s, 14s, 16s, 8s, dry flies, wet flies, nymphs, scuds. That's another, I'm probably already talking 20 minutes. But yeah, it's one of those things, man. I've just become absolutely obsessed with it. There are some days where I'd almost rather tie than fish, which is kind of weird. But you fall in love with it, and if you don't have a budget, then go nuts. If you've got a budget, again, a couple jigs, a decent vise, and some good deer tail, and you should be good to go. I for sure left some things out. Comments, questions, whatever. If I think of something, I'll put it in the description. But yeah, get after it, have fun. I'd love to keep in touch and send me pictures, and it's kind of a little niche community that we've got, especially jig tying. So yeah, Junior's Fishing Company, juniorsfishing.com, reach out. Yeah, look forward to seeing some comments.